So let's talk about Dana White. Not a lot of fights on, but there's one big fight that's constantly going on, and that is Dana White fighting the powers that be that want to keep UFC locked down when it makes no sense because he's already built a protocol that's going to keep everyone safe and we could start watching fights again. Dana is, I swear to God. Now, I know he owns the joint and he's the boss of bosses, but if the world doesn't collectively do something for this guy when this whole thing shakes itself out and the work that this guy put in during this COVID thing to try to bring UFC back, then you got a bunch of ungrateful, ingrate It's too early in the YouTube video for me to swear. You're not allowed to swear till like minute 5 or something. But you get the point. Dana is out grinding for these guys. And every time he talks about bringing back the UFC, what does he say? He's like, I got to get these fighters paid. He is a good dude, man. Here's another thing that I just want to point out before I even talk about the main point of this video, which is going to be about Dana saying he would just straight up leave ESPN if they try to block this event on May 9th. But before I even do that, let's talk about subscribing, sharing, commenting, liking on my channel, because I never thought I would be able to get through saying that. I thought that asking people to share my content or subscribe to my channel was going to feel like acid coming out of my mouth. And yet I feel very comfortable doing it because I really want to grow this channel really fast. And so that's the only way it's going to happen. So please help me. And then that way I can just crank content all day long. Anyway, but so let's talk about a fundamental truth that is just gross and uneducated about the general public. And this is it. So one thing that I hear constantly about Dana White, the UFC, just the brass in general, is that they're fucking the fighters over. That they're not getting paid enough. They're not getting this. They're not getting that. Oh, they need a union, whatever. Okay, so I am not stepping in on whether or not they need a union. But the whole idea that they're not getting paid enough is ludicrous. And the idea that too much of the profits are going to the owners, also ludicrous. This is a voluntary relationship that you have with the UFC. Okay, there are 0 fighters that are being made to be UFC fighters. Okay, when they signed their contract, they looked and they said, oh, this is how much I will be getting paid. And then they signed their name on it, and then they fought those contracts out. If anyone is trying to tell me that there's something unethical about that, then you don't understand the way the world works. Okay. This is, again, going back to the more macro concept. Why do people think that companies just have endless money? I don't understand that at all. I understand I come from a world where I have run businesses, and so I obviously have seen the other side of the curtain. And the concept that people have where if you are employed by a company, that means that they are just rolling in money and they're choosing to take it on golf trips and private jets as opposed to paying you your living wage. I mean, it's ridiculous. In some cases, maybe certainly in some cases there are predatory practices, but like looking at Dana and being like, oh yeah, they didn't earn that. Give me a break. These guys sunk $50 million into the business in order to make it grow. And then they sold it for $4 billion, which means the new owners spent $4.5 billion on the product. Of course, they want to take some profit out. $4.5 billion on the company. Of course, they need to take profit out. This is just common sense. This is just business. So acting like Dana is a bad guy when it comes to UFC is the most asinine, just blanket, I don't understand the way the world works position to have ever. Now, do the fighters have tremendous leverage if they unionize? Of course. Okay, so I'm not saying, hey, don't unionize. I mean, I'm only saying that because I am really hoping at some point that Dana watches my content and he's like, fucking A. That is one of the smartest guys I have ever seen. He's super good looking. No one loves UFC more than him except maybe me. I gotta hire this fucking guy. And I'll tell you what, if I'm going to be on Dana's team, there's never going to have been a time when I supported a fighter union because that's going to disqualify me from being on his team. But just in hypotheticals, I will say that in pure interest of the fighters getting paid, a fighters union would certainly help them do that because they have a lot of leverage collectively. But acting as though Dana and the company are doing something wrong by paying people what they're paying them is stupid. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. if they're not paying you enough, then go make that money at another company. That this big opportunity that you have at one of the other companies. If you're going to make more money at Glory or Dream or Bellator, go take that money. But if you're going to make less there, then in what universe could you complain about what UFC is paying you? Well, they make more money. Okay, this is a thing called market rate. Okay, your market rate is what other people will pay for you, right? You get paid more at UFC than you would over there, right? Which means that it's the best deal. But like, if your market value is $80,000 a fight, why on earth would UFC pay you $350,000 per fight? If the most you could get anywhere else was $80,000, why would they pay you more than like 95, 90? They're giving you the best deal. Probably have better insurance. You get a little bit more money, you get a better deal overall, more exposure, more everything. Why would they pay you like way more money? It doesn't make any sense. That's not the way the world works. Okay? These guys their careers are really short, and after fighting, this is my favorite quote. They need to make enough money for the rest of their lives. The fuck are you talking about? Why? Why the fuck is the UFC responsible for making sure that every fighter makes enough money during their career, regardless of what the outcome of their fights is, to last the rest of their lives? Like, you fight in the UFC, that means that you just deserve to never work once you turn fucking 34? It's ridiculous. Like, it's so stupid. Again, so stupid. Well, they're fighters. Like, what else are they going to do? I don't know. Live with the decisions that they made in their life? I mean, and I'm not saying that those are bad decisions, but like, they're fighters, so they go be fight trainers, open a gym, work at a gym, like, or use the other skills you have and go do some other kind of work, be an entrepreneur. Like, are you going to get done as a fighter and then go get hired at Goldman Sachs? Probably the fuck not. But there are plenty of things that you can go do. Okay, so that was a tangent. Now let's talk about what the entire point of the video was, which is Dana saying that he will drop ESPN if they try to block him doing this event on May 9th. Gangster. And I love that, because now he's like, look, I've got a state that's letting me do this. The only reason that anyone would block this is if you guys are the problem. So if you guys are the problem, I'm going to figure this out on my own. Brett Okamoto is the one who reported that, and he kind of gave it as like a maybe, but he had already talked to Dana, guaranteed he was mimicking exactly what Dana had said to him. And Dana said, I will run this media stuff on my own. If they won't, I'll look for another partner, I'll run it on my own. And to, an untrained eye or untrained ear, that might sound crazy, except that it's not. Because here was what ESPN provided. They provided the infrastructure, the eyeballs, and then the, candidly, they didn't even really provide anything revolutionary as it related to the pay-per-views, because as soon as everybody got ESPN Plus, or as soon as they moved to ESPN Plus, everyone was like, wait, so we have to be a member of ESPN Plus in order to buy the pay-per-view? So it's a double paywall? Like, the fuck, man? But they provided such a great product by putting on free fights with really good fighters every week that everybody was like, geez, I have to have ESPN Plus, so get that out of the way. And then we're used to using ESPN Plus, so now all I do is I just go into my app and then I buy the fights. And then now user behavior, people are used to it. Okay, well, guess what? Guess where they were doing pay-per-view sales prior to being partnered with ESPN? The UFC app. Okay, so the behavior now has been created. People are used to going onto an app and buying the pay-per-view. So if Dana had to, he could just say, look, we're migrating back to the UFC app. The infrastructure would be there. In terms of like the digital infrastructure and to run the product itself, it's there. I've had little hiccups with it previously, but it was actually, that was only during the Conor and Khabib fight when there were a billion people trying to watch it. But anyway, bottom line is, this event's happening, and Dana straight up said, I'll just bounce on ESPN if they try to cock block me again. So, I love Dana White. I swear to God, I love this guy. I love him. He's such a stud, dude. And this is it. If the fighters and the workers do not buy him something like everybody chips in and get him something like to commemorate the amount of work that he did during this COVID thing, then got some ingrateful mofos. So, if you like my channel, if you like my content, like, subscribe, ring the bell so that when I upload other genius shit like this, you guys are going to know. Comment, share, etc. Later.